Your Excellency, the President Muhammad Buhari, ably represented by the Vice President and his wife, the celebrant Senator Bola Tinubu, the Jagaban Bargu, and our mentor, because we also benefited immensely from his magnanimity in mentoring people, and I want to wish him happy birthday today. Your Excellency, I'm going to talk about the effort that we have done in terms of pushing the national grid and the initiative we have done under this government. The first thing I want to inform you is that the privatization we implemented in Nigeria, which ended, I think, in 2013, was a very ambitious program that we did, which has no model equal to it all over the world. There is no model like that. If you ask some people, they will tell you it's an Indian model. The Indian model that they are claiming was a staggered privatization. They privatized one state, which is the state of Orissa. It is the experience that was learned on the state of Orissa that they used to privatize Delhi. At that time, only 2 experiences. So there's a staggered privatization. But what we did was to sell everything and put a contingent liability of $5.4 billion on the country. At the same time, if you look at even the ATC and C that we are using, that ATC and C is what we used when we did RCM. I was the secretary of the RCM, which was the first private sector initiative in Nigeria. That ATC and C, for RCM it will work because RCM is just a revenue collector. They are consultants. But when you say you privatize, ATC and C is supposed to be part of commercial, so it's not right. But I want to salute this government by staying faith with the privatization, because we implemented the right thing wrongly. Therefore, we should work to make it work. I think that is the best thing that we have done. Your Excellency, I wanted to move to the next slide. Your Excellency, when this government took over power in 2015, the capacity of the grid was only 4,000 megawatts. The capacity of distribution was only about 3,500. And the capacity of transmission was about 4,000. As at December last year, the capacity of the grid has been expanded to 8,100. The capacity of generation was 7,500. And if you look at the last combined peak, which took place in February this year, the capacity of the distribution has also expanded to 5,375, which means we have moved. If for 16 years we were at that level, and in less than 4 years we have moved to this level, you know that we have moved. But we also need to move higher than this. And that is why in transmission, when I was appointed as MD of transmission, me and my colleagues came up with a strategy, which we call transmission rehabilitation and expansion strategy. And that strategy is based on a least cost expansion plan, which was a study which was done by Fitchner. That study looked at our expansion for the next 20 years. So we established the transmission rehabilitation strategy, which is just a 4-year out of the 20-year the expansion plan. And that strategy is supposed to, the objective is to expand the grid and rehabilitate the grid and take the grid to a capacity of at least 20,000 megawatts by 2021. Your Excellency, I want to tell you that the implementation of that strategy is on track. As at today, it's on track. But what is the strategy about? Is to modernize the grid and make it a modern grid. Yes, we are working on all other options, just like other countries, because if you look at India, India used to have so many mini grids, but for economy of scale, as they expand, all the grid, they brought them together. So we should continue to use off-grid, other grid, but we should also fix the grid so that we have economy of scale. Now, the fourth thing we need to make to modernize the grid are these. One, we need to have what they call frequency under control. For information, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, we achieved frequency control of 49.8 and 50.2 Hz for 65% of the time, from December 23rd to date, which means our stability of our grid in terms of frequency is the same as Ghana and is better than any other country in West Africa. We have not stopped at that. We have put those generators that are not providing free governor to provide it. And we believe by June this year, we should be able to have a frequency control that is better than any country in West Africa. Now, the next thing we need to have is what they call spinning reserve. For information, spinning reserve, if you check our daily broadcast, you will see it's either 0 or 40. With a generation of around 5,000, the spinning reserve is supposed to be 10%. I'm so happy to tell you that we did a competitive procurement of spinning reserve, and we have procured spinning reserve, which were forwarded to NAC for approval. This is the first time in the history of Nigeria that we did that. The next thing we need to have is that we need to have a functional SCADA. What is a SCADA? SCADA is a register of events. It means that everybody that's on the grid is supposed to comply according to the grid code. Now, when they fail to comply, they are supposed to be punished according to the grid code. But you have to have a register of events that will show that this person has committed this offense. For information, Nigeria attempted to have a functional SCADA 3 times, and 3 times were not entirely successful. I'm happy to tell you that all the things that we are supposed to put in place to make sure that we have a functional SCADA in place, including the fact that we organized international conference where we brought all the original equipment manufacturers across the world, and they came, and we have established a strategy to have a functional SCADA. You will watch and see in the next 1 week, you will see an advert for the procurement of the critical communication backbone, where we are going to link Ikeja West with Egbin. We are going to link Benin with Ajakuta. We will also link Jos and Gombe, and also Aja and Alagbon. These are critical area communication that we need as a basis for us to have the SCADA. You will have that one before we launch the procurement of SCADA. Now, the next thing we need to have is the critical investment in line and substations. And we are tackling that in 3 forms, in 4 forms. One, we are treating underperforming contractors. For information, Your Excellency, let me put you on record, and I want anybody to challenge me. Before now, contracts in this sector are done to enrich people. Contracts are not awarded for them to be completed. And that is why you see contracts that are supposed to be completed in 24 months. They take 16 years, 12 years. Every contract has a recourse. And what are those recourse? You have performance bond to call. You have advance payment to call. Advance payment bond to call. Those bonds are not called. So we have to have a strategy of dealing with those contractors. Now, some of them are they are using that like a farm. Every year there is variation, and they continue to collect money. Now, what we do, we have 2 strategies for those. Some of them, they are ready to work with us to ensure that we complete the project. We work with them, complete the project, and we stop variation, and we provide service to the people. That is how we completed Kukwaba here in Abuja. Some of them, they are not willing to allow us to enter. We forcibly enter and we complete the job. That is how we complete Damatru. That is how we complete Yawuri. That is how we complete Wudil. And that is how we are completing 9th Mile in Enugu. Now, the other thing we are using to complete the grid is that we are removing equipment from port. For information, before now we have 800 containers that were stranded in the port when we came in newly. 800 containers. Sir, it took me 6 months. I couldn't remove a single container. But eventually, I'm happy to tell you that as of last week, we have recovered 730 out of the 800 containers. Now, some of those containers have been there for the past 15 years. The DG of Custom, who has been helping me, he's also here. He can confirm. Some of them have been auctioned. The last auctioned one was one he approved. He reversed the option and gave it to us just last week. 51 containers, which means when we recover that one, it will become 781 containers we have removed. So what we did, because TCN has no serious revenue, we get less than 40% of our revenue from the market. So what we did is to educate our staff on how they can use their initiative to install transformers and equipment. So we use in-house capacity and install those equipment we recover from the port. And under that arrangement, I'm happy to tell you that we have installed more transformers and equipment in the last 2 years, more than what was done in previous 15 years. Now, we have also used this, our staff, to build substations. I'm happy to tell you that the first offshore substation that was built in Nigeria was built by our staff in Lagos, which in a place called Elashe. We commissioned it in February this year. This was entirely built by TCN staff. And for information, when I came newly and said, let's build that substation, the budget that was given to me for a contract was supposed to be 1.2 billion. This, our staff, completed that project at the rate of 150 million, completed everything. And we promoted him, and he became the general manager of Lagos immediately. Now, the other way we are using to expand the grid is what I said, use of the donors. We have raised $1.6 billion investment in TCN. For your information, all the years that Manitoba was managing TCN, there was no single audit of TCN. There was no single 1 cent was not raised by Manitoba Hydro in investment in TCN. But we have raised $1.6 billion. And all those areas that the Minister of Industry mentioned, that we are going to have industrial park, we are also expanding the capacity of the grid to ensure that those industrial parks are served. We just commissioned one by 300 MVA last month in Aba. That is one of the areas that the Minister of Industry mentioned. We are completing the line between Omotosho to Epe to Lekki Free Trade Zone. Then we connect it to Aja. We are putting a 330 kV substation at EPZ. That is the second area where the minister mentioned. We have also upgraded the capacity of Funtua, and we are also reconducting the line from Kaduna to Zaria, Zaria to Funtua, and Funtua to Gusau. That is also taking care of that area. I mentioned those areas is not only because that is the area we are looking at only, but just to tell you that we are using synergy to ensure that whatever we need in our industry, we connect them together and make it work. Now, for information, time is not on my side, but let me tell you, everything we are doing to fix the grid, because on the grid now, I can tell you, we have not solved all the problem, but I can tell you any problem we have, I can tell you the time we are going to solve it. But everything we are doing on the grid, we are just serving just 18 customers. Only 18 customers are connected to the grid directly. The remaining people are connected through the distribution companies. Unfortunately, the expansion that we are having on the side of the grid and the expansion we are having on the side of the generation, because for information, Your Excellency, we are stopping people from connecting to the grid now. There are several generators that are
focused on. And only in January of this year, the government of Brazil and the government of Nigeria, under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, entered into an agreement that would see a mechanization of the entire agricultural value chain in the whole territorial and senatorial districts of Nigeria. And our speaker is from our Brazilian partner. Our next speaker will be speaking on jobs in agriculture through mechanized farming. Our speaker is Mr. Kleber Guarani of FVG. They are implementing partners from the Brazilian government, and for the past 2.5 years, I have been negotiating with Nigeria regarding financing and the operational model that these green imperative, as you have seen in the illustration, will imply for the agricultural sector. Ladies and gentlemen, join me make welcome Mr. Kleber Gorani to speak on the next level jobs in agriculture and mechanized farming. Mr. Gorani.
Thank you. Your presentation is here.
Okay, Excellency, Vice President, and authorities, and everybody present. It's a great pleasure to be here and to present the Green Imperative project. So, first of all, I would like to say that we are working together in a partnership with the Nigerian government. In reality, it's a partnership from Brazil and Nigeria to develop a sustainable agriculture in Nigeria. So it's a major, Green Imperative project is a major agriculture project in Africa. And our main focus is to make a completely technology transfer from Brazil to Nigeria to produce food with a good quality, good cost production in a competitive way. To make it happen, we are working in some pillars. The first pillar is capacity building. It's most important pillar. And we have a consistent planning for 10 years to transfer technology, to training people, mainly youths. The other pillar is to produce in Nigeria machinery and equipment, agricultural machinery and equipment. It's impossible to think in a good agriculture, in a great agriculture in Nigeria without thinking in produce your machinery equipment here in Nigeria territory. It's essential. The other pillar is the research center. We have planning to bring here research center to produce seeds with high quality and productivity. And inputs too. We would like to bring the technology to produce inputs here in Nigeria like fertilizer, pesticides, and other products. Nigeria has, the agriculture in Nigeria is an important sector for the country, and that's the labor force in agriculture in Nigeria today is more than 6 or 7%. It's easier to think that this sector is very important to reduce the unemployment. So we don't have time. We don't have time to start the project immediately. Okay. 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 So, okay, go ahead. Then the project, the first pillar, as I said to you, is the agricultural production, is related to the capacity building. So we are foreseeing agricultural innovation technical center to install here in Nigeria, bringing experts from Brazil together with experts from Nigeria to transfer the whole technology. We are foreseeing to start the project immediately, the Green Imperative project. We are ready because we have made in the next almost 2 years the whole studies and planning that we needed to start the project, like in climatic zoning. Right now we understand very much the quality of the soil, climate and relief of the Nigeria, and it's very important. So to give it this big jump in agriculture of Nigeria, we needed to focus, as I said to you, and in the whole country, spread the knowledge in the whole country. And we are foreseeing to have a 70, 80 service center spread in the whole country. The service center will be basically capability to attend the smallholder farmer in several mechanized agricultural services. So, about the agricultural mechanization, and as I said to you, I think, or we think that's the best way to start the planning to produce the machinery equipment in Nigeria is with the assembling plants. And for this year, our target is to start this process immediately and to bring the capability to produce those kind of machinery. Just to remind you that Brazil has a similar soil and climate than Nigeria. So we have machinery and equipment very well adapted for this climate. So once you started the production here in Nigeria, we have sure that we are producing the appropriated equipment. So about the innovation, Agricultural Innovation Center, our idea is to make something on the job. We don't believe that we can work in agriculture just using the theory. The theory is not enough. We needed the practical. Show it the youths, show it the technicals on the job, how they make a good job, how the best practice that we needed to apply. So the Agricultural Innovation Center will focus on technical practice. Yes, our target. Our project foresees some employees. I have some problems with this slide, but I would like to say to you that this program is foreseeing to format 100,000 techniques format and 3,000 tractor operators. We are planning to produce in the first stage 10,000 tractors and 3,900 jobs in logistics, 220 jobs in processing plant, because we are aiming all the value chain. It's not agricultural production, but the main target is to add the value in the agricultural products to produce processing, to produce products goes ready to go to the market. And in the first stage, our target is to achieve 390,000 smallholder farmers. And we will create indirect jobs, almost 115,000 indirect jobs. So you can see that the agriculture has a powerful to create jobs. In any country, we have this experience in several countries in the world, is a machinery of creating jobs and income for the people. So, just to finalize, This is our target in that project. We have some expectation, great expectation. We are planning to have 2 assembly plants, plus 4 assembly plants in the second phase of the project. 780 service centers spread in all countries, 9,000 tractors to be assembled, and 1.1 billion of investments. The investments we are bringing from Brazil and other partners, and 100,000 techniques in formats, mainly in youths. We needed to involve youths a lot in agriculture, mainly in agriculture today, when you have technology inside, and this attracts the youths, and 5 million people impacted. So I used to say that agriculture, especially the Green Imperative project, has a tremendous potential to collaborate with the social peace, to reduce the employment, and to increase the income for the population. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gorani. Now, we are going to some not too serious business. We are going to do a little quiz, and let's test your knowledge of movies in Nigeria. How many people know of Chief Daddy? Not too many hands up. How many know of King of Boys? Wedding Party? Now, these are famous Nigerian movies that in the past few years have seen the earnings from Nigeria's creative industry increase astronomically. Now, so from $1.2 billion investment in mechanized agriculture, we now want to go to the creative industry that, under the economic recovery and growth plan, is projected to contribute $1 billion by 2020. Our next speaker is the Group Executive Director of Film House Cinemas and is the Managing Director of Film One Distribution and Production Limited. Now, Film One is the largest theatrical distribution company in English-speaking West Africa, and is going to describe to us the value chain and the markets in the downstream area and how it connects with the upstream production to create jobs within the Nigerian economy. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, join me make welcome Mr. Moses Baba Tokbe, who will be speaking on jobs, next level jobs in the creative sector. Mr. Baba Tokbe.
Do we have it? Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, ably represented by Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osibajo, and his beautiful wife, Mrs. Dolapo Shibajo. A national icon, a living legend, leader of the All Progressives Congress, and the reason we are all here gathered, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu and his lovely wife, Senator Remi Tinubu. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I stand on all existing protocols. Please forgive me if I cannot recognize everyone. It is very, very honorable, and I feel very privileged to be here to talk about an industry that everyone seems to hear about speak about once in a while, but not so sure if there's anything there as far as economic development is concerned, or as far as economic impact is concerned. And very, very quickly, I know we've been getting a lot of presentations today. Very, very quickly, I'm going to run through the creative sector value chain as a job spinner. So very, very quickly, these are the key sectors that make up the creative industry. It's very broad. It's not as, I mean, we use the term a lot, but we don't seem to sometimes narrow down on what the sectors are. And the sectors range from film and entertainment to arts and crafts to design to photography to fashion and style to ancillary products and services. But for the benefit of this presentation, I'm going to narrow down on film and entertainment. I think it's worthy of note that we should be looking also at the following key sectors on the right of the slide, which is film and entertainment, music. As we know, music is doing very well for the country in terms of the image it's projecting for the country. Television and radio, as we know, the impact of media. Media publication, fashion and lifestyle. I can see everyone in Nigerian attire, most everyone here, the ability to scale that and to even export that. There is a lot of potential in that. And the performing arts. So I would really narrow down to the film and entertainment sector, particularly the cinema sector. Just to give you some key insights as to the gem that is in the cinema sector. It's a sector, as of 2018, that is worth $23 million. And that $23 million is generated by only 45 cinemas. 45 cinemas have generated $23 million, and they've grown at a double-digit rate year on year since 2016. I think it's also instructive to note that between 2016 and 2017 were the period where we went through chronic recession, where we went through the devaluation of the naira, and yet we had a sector that was growing double digits. And I think it deserves a round of applause if you don't mind. What this has done is that the global markets in terms of cinema have also recognized this and are going to give Nigeria an emerging market spotlight in a few days in Las Vegas in the USA. So we're very proud of the developments the cinema sector has made, and that's why we feel like there should be a spotlight, and we think that beyond the impact it's making box office wise, it can make an impact as far as job creation is concerned. These are some insights for you in that sector. About 500 million spent on media equipment, about 3,500 total employees so far, direct and indirect. About 700 million spent from, advertisers within the cinema. So corporates want to advertise their products within the cinemas. Combined, we estimate that they've spent about 700 million. And about 3.5 billion generated in terms of other sales like popcorn, drinks, and all that. Just to also give you an insight, like Ikem, the moderator, said, a driver of the cinema sector is our own films, Nigerian films. These are the top grossing films. I don't know if you can see them very well. They're the top 15 or top 20 grossing films in Nigeria of all time. I think it's noteworthy to mention that as far as cinema going or the cinema culture, it returned in 2004, and it's just about 15 years old. As far as cinema going is concerned, and as far as the content shown in cinema is concerned, Nigerian films are driving the box office. 7 of the top 10 are Nigerian films, hence the mention of The Wedding Party, Chief Daddy, which His Excellency the Vice President went to see, and a number of films. And we're very bullish, and we believe that the local films will continue to drive the sector, creating jobs for the local producers. But as we also build more cinemas, there'll be more jobs created. These are examples of the cinemas that were opened in 2018 on the left side. In the middle, cinemas opening in 2019. Again, all private sector led. So the private sector is the one really driving this. We have 16 cinema companies in Nigeria. A lot of them sourcing capital by themselves. They could do with some assistance, some encouragement as well. And on the right-hand side are the online platforms that we have. In Nigeria, we have Iroko, we have Kwese, we have African Magic, all playing in the value chain, to ensure the film sector is productive. So, the crux of this presentation is, yes, we have these cinemas. Maybe one thing I didn't mention before is that a lot of the cinemas we have now cater to the middle class and the high class, or the HNIs. We think that there is a huge opportunity in the community cinema model. We think that that accounts for 60 to 65%, of the population. And these are the people that have been very, instrumental to creating the film sector, because they are the ones that have purchased the films when they were on video. They are the ones that watch the films regularly. They are the ones that have created the fan or celebrity era that we have now. And we think that that sector is so underserved. It's our belief that we can plant a cinema in every local government in Nigeria, and a new ecosystem is formed as a result. And these are the things that can be generated from the community cinema. We think that, of course, jobs will be generated, and very soon I will show how jobs can be generated, direct and indirect. We think that economic activity can happen. So in the cinema place, you can buy popcorn. The popcorn seller makes money. The printer that makes the packaging for the popcorn makes money. The technician that is working on the projector makes money. So we think that there's a number of economic activities that can happen as a result of having cinemas at community levels. We also think that it could be good for national orientation if the government supports, for example, through the audiovisual medium, using the captive experience, captive viewing experience. So we think that this can be, it can do a range of things. We know piracy is a big issue in Nigeria. A way of solving piracy is when you plant some of these, cinemas around the country, there's more access, and it's also very affordable. Ticket prices are supposed to be 300 to 500 naira. So, where are the job creation opportunities? From everything I've said, for there to be a cinema, there's got to be content. All right, for there to be content, there's got to be people making the content. And that's why we have the following sections that creates various types of jobs. On the creation side, for the content, we have script writers, directors, producers, sound and audio editing. And imagine we're not rumored. The facts say we make about 2,000 films a year. So imagine the amount of people being employed here. Imagine if we then put in a more structured, environment for them, where the films can actually go out to cinemas and they can make money back. Imagine the multiplier effect. And those are the film exhibition business, which I also describe the kind of roles that are created in terms of jobs, and then the ancillary distribution platforms, all creating jobs. And for a typical cinema, here are some of the jobs, no specialist skill, things that you can easily train people, from the managers to the supervisors to the retail staff selling you popcorn, to the technicians, to the security staff, to the handymen, to the cleaners. Those are people that can typically be in a cinema environment. And we reckon that there can be up to 20 or 25 per cinema. And obviously, in terms of indirect jobs or additional jobs, we have, sorry, I skipped. Yes, we have other things like printers, marketing companies, merchandising companies, health and safety professionals, supply chain management, logistics, all those kind of services that are attached to community cinemas. And we've just done a brief, breakdown as to how we think we can get to an optimal position as far as this cinema spread is concerned in the country. And we think that at 900 locations, we will be optimal, but we still have capacity for more. And we think with 700 locations, maybe covering the, most of the local governments, we could really see a direct impact on employment. So we think that there's at least 22,500 direct jobs. And like the Minister of Trade Investment mentioned, we think there will be a multiplier effect. And this sector alone could easily deliver 100,000 jobs. Sorry for my voice. So I'm wrapping up. Very, very quickly, what are the next steps? Funding. We're not asking for handouts. We're not asking for, sponsorship. We're just asking for enabling environments. We're asking for, affordable capital. And I have to credit the BOI for the great job they've done in really stimulating the industry. We're asking for better interagency cooperation. We're asking that the Censors Board, you should get its independence. It works well with the Film Institute and the Film Corporation. We're asking for better legislation and better interface with the lawmakers. We're asking for fiscal incentives. We're asking that let's be more deliberate and more intentional about building the industry, as opposed to opportunistic and looking for another sector that is revenue generating. How do we make it more sustainable? How do we make it more impactful? That's what we should be thinking about. And basically, this is a summary of everything we've been talking about. In terms of, yes, we had challenges in the beginning. We see an opportunity. We think we can make global impact. A lot of my presentation today has been what we can do in Nigeria. There's another minefield in terms of what we're exporting out of Nigeria. And the potential for foreign exchange is massive. But we want to keep it of what we can do to generate jobs in Nigeria. And permit me to be a little tricky. So I'm privileged to have known the celebrant of the day. I just wanted to say one or two things. That's 16 years ago, at my father's 50th birthday. I just wanted to say, I've always known him to be the supporter of the creative industry. And that's 2011 in London at a sold-out Afrobeats event. And 2019, I wrote a title here, perhaps we should do a film, Diary of a Political Genius, the BAT story. How about that? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful day.